Welcome to Paranormal Heart, a place where people can talk about their paranormal experiences. With your host, Kat Ward.
Welcome back, folks, to Paranormal Heart. I'm your host, Kat Ward. You can find new episodes on the second and last Sunday of each month on Podbean, YouTube, Fringe Radio Network, and any place you find fine podcasts. If you've had paranormal encounters you'd like to share, you can either be a guest on the show, or you can submit them in writing and I'll be happy to narrate your story. And if you'd like to have your very own free Paranormal Heart podcast sticker, just drop me an email at paranormalheart13@gmail.com and I'll be happy to mail you one wherever you are on this beautiful globe of ours. Folks, I am so happy to announce that Paranormal Heart Podcast has hit a milestone. Episode 70 is the show's 4th anniversary. So I have to give a very special shout out to all of you amazing listeners around this beautiful globe of ours. If it wasn't for you, the show wouldn't even be around. So thank you from the bottom of my heart for all your love and support. And here's to at least another 4 more years. It's contest time. My mistake is your fortune. I wasn't paying attention when ordering a hoodie and I ordered the incorrect size. So up for grabs is a men's size 4X Paranormal Heart Podcast hoodie. How do you get a chance to win this one-of-a-kind hoodie? Simply record your paranormal experience and send it to paranormalheart13@gmail.com and I'll play all of the submissions on the show and add your name to the ballot. Winner takes the prize. The winner will be notified via email, not social media, but once the winner has been notified, the name will be announced on the show as well as on social media. Last day to submit is December 13th. Good luck, everyone. I'm really looking forward to hearing your stories. On episode 70, here to help me celebrate the show's 4th year is my good friend Kat Hobson. Kat is owner of WBHM-DB Paranormal Experienced Radio, host of Paranormal Experienced with Kat Hobson, and the voice of Fate Mag Radio, the online voice of Fate Magazine. She's also co-founder with her research partner Frank Lee of American Noetic Science Research Studies, ANSRS. She's had experiences all her life and has over a decade of work in the paranormal field. Kat is an investigator with C.A.S.P.I.R, Central Alabama Society for Paranormal Investigations and Research in Pell City, Alabama. She's been featured on the Travel Channel's Portal to Hell, Coast to Coast AM Radio with George Noory, and so many other shows. I mean, Kat's worn so many paranormal hats, I don't even know how she does it. So today, Kat talks about a topic that's fascinated so many, black-eyed kids. I give you the amazing Kat Hobson. Hey, Kat, welcome to Paranormal Heart.
Hey, Kat. I just love that.
I know,
I'm so glad to be here.
It's been a struggle trying to get our schedules to finally match up, but we finally got it. And like I told you earlier, come hell or high water, this is going to happen today.
Well, I'm sorry that you had headaches. I'm appreciative of you fighting through it.
Thank you.
I would always come when you ask.
You're so awesome. Such a sweet lady. I really do hope you get to meet sometime.
I do too.
Yeah.
That would be a joy.
And thank you so much for being on my 4th anniversary episode.
Thank you so much for asking me. You know, I love your work.
Thank you.
So I am really honored to be here, and especially for your anniversary show.
Thank you. It's still a small podcast. The followers and subscribers and all that, they're slowly growing, but I don't do it for the numbers. I do it because I enjoy it and, like to get people to talk about their stories, and so everyone who are going through similar instances can know that they're not alone there's a lot of people around the world who have similar experiences. So, and it's just something I enjoy to do.
I love it too. You just, when you find something that you can do that you feel like helps others,
Mm-hmm.
then it's just the best. It really is.
Yeah. I've mentioned quite a few times on my show that as an investigator, I started noticing how it can wreak havoc on a family when someone is having an experience and the rest of the family just don't believe them. They don't support them. I've heard of families, splitting up because someone is going through something that they experience and no one's believing them, so they think they're crazy. So I just love paranormal shows because, like I said before, people who are going through these know that they're not alone, and there are other people that you can reach out to, and it's like a little support system.
Well, it is. And I have to say that I love your oats. I love the Canadian accent.
Oh, thank you.
So,
and I love your Alabama accent. I do.
Well, at least we understand each other, right?
Yes.
I've had people ask me to repeat things on my show often because they didn't speak Southernese.
Southernese. I've never heard of that before. That's awesome.
It's fun.
I have a listener that called me on Facebook, and he calls me often. He's over in Ireland, and because of the time difference, I always miss his call. But there was one day in particular I was actually able to pick up the call, spoke with them, and yes, he had a very thick Irish accent, but I was able to understand him. And he says, "I'm surprised you can understand me." I said, "Well, I really have to tune my ears for it, but yeah, I can understand you fine."
Speaking of the Exorcist house and the experiences there, I have friends who filmed the television show about it, and it was really interesting. Christopher Booth and his brother Philip were the filmmakers behind that. Bishop James Long was the exorcist for that. They did an exorcism of the land, not
the house.
They weren't exorcising anybody.
Mm.
But Chip Coffey was there as a medium. It was a big to-do. And I was so surprised that they did that, because I would have just left it alone. Because the exorcism that took place, it's a true story. And the exorcism took, as far as I knew. So I didn't understand why they were going back to do that. But I guess just clearing the land so that if there was something attached there, maybe that had something to do with it.
Maybe. Any stragglers?
Oh, apparently some of the people involved felt that there were.
Mm-hmm.
But they're not now. Well, and of course now, if I'm not mistaken, it's been torn down. I'm not sure.
Oh, has it? I don't know. I haven't heard. I'll have to look that up.
Well, torn down or not, I'm not going.
Amen, sister.
There's some things you just don't mess with.
No.
And I got to think that a location where something of that nature occurred would be top on my list.
Yeah. Like you and I were discussing earlier, I have people that I know who take care of the more demonic cases, and I am fine with not doing that. Knock on wood, I've never had any experiences with anything extremely negative like that, and I'm really okay with that. So people who do handle that, kudos to them. I have so much more respect for them, because it's not something that I want to do.
Me either.
Yeah.
And I am part of the Dominion Ministry, which is a group of people who reach out and say, if you're in this area, can you handle that? And I was actually placed in that group, and I'm not really sure how that happened.
Strange.
But they were going, I think, by skill sets instead of, do you like doing this? Nope, don't put me in.
Yeah.
But I learned that it's not really something that it's a calling. You can't run from it.
Definitely,
If
yeah.
you have the skill sets, then you have the skill sets. So there you go. But I choose not to do that. It's a little scary.
Yeah, that does scare the heck out of me too. Not gonna lie. With minor spirits, the little bit of investigating that I do with the team that I'm with, I'm okay with that. But anything more than that, and it's like, no, we know people that we can call in for that, and I'm not gonna go near it.
Yes. And, there's a lot of negative things, or things that are perceived as negative too that aren't. But if it's something that is going to be a negative experience, it can just be somebody who's having a bad day.
Yes.
A spirit who's just ill because you're encroaching on their space or whatever. And I cannot always tell the difference. I'm really great with energy. I'll usually know the difference, but I'm not led to do that as my sole ministry. It's my sole practice.
Yeah, people who just jump into it, I don't think they really know the dangers that are really involved in it. Like you were discussing earlier about some people studying movies and TV shows thinking that they're going to be investigators and demonologists and whatnot. That really scares the heck out of me for those people.
Well, absolutely. You have to be careful what you open yourself up to, because there is power. There's power in words, there's power in thoughts, there's power in actions. And you also, if you're going to do that kind of work, aside from watching scary movies to train yourself, you have to have a good understanding of what the possibilities are. Because how can you protect yourself if you don't know what you're protecting yourself from?
Exactly.
It's a big deal.
And these movies and shows are for entertainment purposes. It's not like you're watching a biography or something and or studying something serious. It's for entertainment. So how can you actually get an understanding of your so-called enemy if you're studying entertainment? I don't understand.
Well, I would go out on a limb and say that the film The Exorcist was not, that particular film I don't feel is just entertainment, because they followed that story fairly closely. Some changes were made to protect people, but a lot of that story is pretty close to true. And my grandmother, who was New Age before there was New Age and who was very aware of abilities, would not allow me to watch that movie. Ever.
Wise lady.
Ever. I would have been grounded till the end of the millennium had I tried to. And at that time, that was a long time.
Yeah.
So, yes, we just entered a new millennium, but that was about 40 years worth of waiting to get there.
I've seen the movie back in the day. My daughter absolutely loves horror movies, and my husband and I won't let her watch it, at least not in the house. It's like, no, there's intent.
Because because I feel that is offering a platform, as it were,
and
to negativity.
Yeah, and I've I saged the house, especially when because you can feel it in your house when people start getting quarrelsome with each other, and it's like, okay, it's time to sage, and then there's just a lightness in the house. But I've gotten rid of a few things in our houses in the past, but something like that's beyond my pay grade.
It's above my wanna grade.
Yeah, that too.
Not my idea of a good time.
No.
But I have had to do something in my own home because somebody cast something here.
Really? Was that recently?
I'm sorry?
Was that recently?
It was in the last 2 years.
Wow.
I had to get serious with it because it was so freaky, because that, like I said, that's not really what I like doing.
Mm-hmm.
And my husband was out of town, and I had to have somebody to do it with me because power in numbers.
Mm-hmm.
And somebody had to spray the holy water because I have high ceilings.
Ah.
But so I got my research partner who is Joe Science, to come in and help me with that. And he physically saw what was here, but he didn't tell me while we were in process, because I think he felt that I would lose my focus. Focus is required to do that.
No kidding.
So after he saw it, he was not slack on spraying the holy water anymore at all. It was very odd, because the first time that he went to manipulate the trigger, it broke. That's right after that is when he saw what was here. And so he was two-fisting the sprayer to be sure that it would still function, because it had to happen. It's amazing the difference in the house afterward, because I hadn't realized how negative it had been feeling, but it was extraordinarily so. And it was obvious once we got done, the whole place was just complete light.
It kind of sneaks up on you, and you don't. Yeah, it kind of sneaks up on you, and you don't realize that little by little, it's getting, darker and more negative, until, like you said, when everything was finally cleansed, then it's like, oh my.
I know, right?
Yep.
And I mean, I'm not that girl. I don't think that everything is, dark, demonic, whatever.
Agreed. Yeah.
But that was, I had some help with guidance on that, because I did not know what to do. And so when I learned, it's all about faith and asking for help and accepting help, and because I was mainly just determined that this was not going to be allowed to continue here, and the determination was a helpful factor too.
I've often told clients, when we've had one client in particular that had a couple of different teams go in, and it still kept coming back, and finally realized that deep down inside she kind of thought it was cool, didn't want it to go away, so it kept coming back. Yeah, and I looked at her and I said, okay, do you really want this gone? Because she had 3 or 4 children, and I said, because your babies are being affected by this. And she looked at me and I said, you need to use your mother voice and say, get out of my house. And you need to mean it, because you need to think of your babies. And then that's when the switch flicked. And she says, okay, get out of my house. I'm like, no, mom voice,
no.
Mom voice. And then after that, it's just like, get out of my And we follow up, and everything was fine. We haven't heard from her in a couple of years, so I'm assuming that it didn't come back. But I always say, use your mom voice, use your dad voice. You have to think of your babies.
House.
Yes. And once people realize that, they actually have the power, and, this is your house now, not theirs, then a lot of times they're, as soon as they realize they can do it, because a lot of people don't think they can.
Well, it doesn't, if it's just a negative spirit, it does not have to be an exorcism, obviously.
No.
Because it's a human spirit.
Mm-hmm.
You do take ownership of your space, and you do protect what's yours, and you take ownership of that. That was an excellent way to get that across to her.
Yeah, because we kept trying different ways of telling her, like, you really need to mean it, and then it just dawned on me, like, your children are terrified. That's why you called us, so you kind of gotta hit the nail on the head type thing, and say, no more games. You need to do this.
Yeah.
And most parents, once they realize that their children are in jeopardy, are in danger, then the Mama Bear and Papa Bear come out. So you just have to do it that way.
And that works.
Yep.
Obviously for her.
Yeah, it did for her. Yeah. Thankfully. Yeah.
Well, too cool.
Yeah. So, one of the topics that we're going to talk about was, I actually don't know a whole lot about. I've heard of, but I don't know a whole lot about, is black-eyed kids.
It's fascinating.
It is. I think the first time I heard about it was on Steve Stockton's show. I think he was talking about it. I'm like, black-eyed kids, what are these? Quite a few years ago. So, yeah, when a listener, because I had put out on social media, what would the listeners like, what topic would they like to hear? And someone said black-eyed kids. And I'm like, I don't really know a whole lot about it. Never really talked about it very much on the show, and thought of you, and asked you if you knew anything about it, and which I knew you did because you're pretty knowledgeable when it comes to the paranormal.
Oh, thanks. I've been doing things for a long time.
Yeah.
But this is not a very old phenomenon.
No.
You know, it's really not. And the first reported incident in the U.S. was in Abilene, Texas. And, of course, Texas. But the person who did it, who had the experience or shared it, was a journalist. And his experience was in 1996, but it wasn't reported until 1998 for some reason. And his name was Brian Bethel. But he had been out and just, doing his thing. And he was looking for something. If I'm not mistaken, he was looking for something in his car. And somebody tapped on the window, and he turned around, and there were these two kids. I don't know why they seem to travel in pairs. It's not always pairs, but it often is. And there will be a smaller and a larger. And a lot of times they will keep their eyes down or be looking, or they'll have their bangs in their face or whatever. And they were like, we need to get to so-and-so and so-and-so. Can you let us in your car? Can you take us in your car? And he was like, nope. But he didn't initially have that reaction because he didn't have the fight or flight yet. But when he refused to do as they wanted, the bigger one looked up and looked him in the eye. And bear in mind that this guy had rolled his window down a little bit so that he could hear them. And that got rolled right up, and I don't even know how much rubber he laid getting out of there. Right?
I would imagine.
But, they do. They always seem to have permission. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, this incident, the older child or whatever said, you have to tell us that we have to have permission to get in your car. Oh, actually, he used adult language. He was like, we can't get into the vehicle unless we have your permission.
Oh.
Right?
How many kids do you know of speak that way?
Apparently, that one.
Yeah.
That would be it.
Do you know what time of day this had happened? Was it day, evening?
It was day. So, a lot of people just kind of blew that off. But there are reports in Conwick Chase and in Norwich in England. And, there were reports as far as 1950. As far back as 1950. And then I believe that the Conwick Chase incident was in 1974. But in each instance, it was interesting because I don't necessarily go to the people who report it, because a lot of times there's sensationalism that goes into the reporting, or they're just looking for their moment in the sun, as it were. And one story, when I first started looking at this, it was really interesting because I have dogs, and that dogs will often just go off in the middle of the night, like their alarm just kicks in or whatever. And this woman had a new puppy, and it just started trying to tear the door down. And she was trying to teach it not to be afraid. So she went to the bedroom door and opened it. I said, see, there's nothing there. And so the puppy was not dissuaded, because what it was looking for was at the front door, apparently, because it took off and went to the front door. So the owner she was going to do the same thing, open the door and show him that there was nothing there that could hurt it. And when she reached for the door, she was like, oh no, don't do that. Look through the peephole. And meanwhile, she hasn't been speaking. There's no, she's barefoot, got out of bed, walking through the house. So hasn't made any noise, just been quiet. And so when she looked through the peephole, she saw 2 people. And one was a girl, and she just had her head down, just kind of looking, and she had like the straight blunt bangs and whatever. And the other was a smaller person, ostensibly a child. So even though she had been silent and, knew they could not possibly have heard, the older girl said, "We have to use your phone." She knew she was there. And the lady said that she had a voice that was mature, confident, strong, and accentless. This was, weird, right?
Yeah.
So the lady was like starting to back away from the door because she was, and meanwhile the dog, the puppy, is cowering. Right?
That's a good indication right there.
Go back to bed.
Yeah.
And so she said that the girl started to become stronger voiced and hostile. And so the girl said, "We're not going to hurt you. If we wanted to do that, we would have broken in. I'll ask again. May we come in and use your phone?" And so the dog starts snarling again, and the woman's backing up to the bedroom, and she's like, "But it felt like it was pulling me to the door. Something was pulling me to the door." And it was just like there was this need to go and let them in. And I have heard and read so many reports of that compulsion, right?
Mm-hmm.
It is like a psychological tool is being used. So to me, that does lend itself toward not being just your average kid that's being misunderstood. So the lady finally said, I went back in the room, closed the door, and I stayed up all night. The dog was in the bed cowering, I guess, with her spouse. But the dog didn't bark again. And the woman was just like, I've really not slept well ever since that night. And I was just kind of like, oh gosh, that's weird.
Yeah.
But over time, since this phenomenon began being reported, it's not always the same. But as a rule, it is, they say 6 to 16 for the age group. But I have heard of adolescent males being kind of like, they present as like young gangbangers, as it were.
Mm-hmm.
They've got the dark, kind of unusual clothing. Their hair is not a normal style. Like there's a normal anymore, right? But
yeah, right.
But they just stand out for almost the antiquity of their appearance, and the things are just off. And there's been reports of some of them having, talons for feet or whatever. I don't know that I put a lot of stock in that.
I never heard that.
Well, it's a rare report, but they are out there. And, and also there's reports of them having horns. So that would give me pause, right? It's like, oh dear. No, I'm good. Thank you so much for asking.
Yeah, thanks for coming.
And truly, I have run across people, and I know your gifts, you probably have too. Run across people that I felt like were not who they were presenting as, people that had the potential to be dangerous.
Yes, I certainly have.
And I could not. There are 2 times I've had that I could not get away from them fast enough. And I don't scare easy. I've been doing this a long time. I know I do my best to protect myself. I have great faith, and I believe that the gifts that I have are to help people with. And I do believe in those 2 incidents that they saved me. I don't know what they are. I don't know what their ultimate goal is, but there are so many reports of just how serious these people are about trying to get in touch with you.
Have you ever heard of any instances where people have opened the door and let them in and lived to tell about it, kind of? Or is it just people, the only instances you've heard of are just people don't let them in?
I have never, and I have researched this because I want to know, too, what the outcome is if you give them access to you. There is not, to my knowledge and through my research, one incident of a report of what happens if you let them in, which would lead me to believe that either no one ever has because they get that visceral fear kicked in, or nobody has ever come through that. And, it's really, just to give an example again, it's always this is a little different but this woman's experience was sitting in her family room when there was a light knock on the front door, right? And there were 2 kids, a girl who looked about 11, and a boy who was about 9. And the girl, very politely said, "Ma'am, can we please come inside and use your phone to call our mom?" Nothing to fear there, right? Well, the woman said that something in the pit of her stomach was telling her there is something so wrong. So they had a little bit of a back and forth conversation, and then the girl stepped into the light coming from the house. Solid jet black eyes. The woman said the motherly instinct was gone and replaced by terror I didn't think I'd ever felt in my life. And she said that every hair on her arms and back of her neck was at attention, so she closed the door to where just her face was able to stick out. Why she didn't close it all the way, I don't know. And the little girl was pleading again, "Please, ma'am, we're really scared and alone out here. We have to come inside. Please help us." And then, like on cue, they both began to whimper and cry, right? Well, she did open the door, but she realized what was going on. So I correct myself. I did find the one case. But it's just unbelievable. That's just astounding to me. I can't picture what that woman must have been feeling.
What fascinates me as well is, like you said earlier, it seems to be a relatively new phenomenon. It's not like it's a few generations, we just all of a sudden started hearing about them, and it makes me wonder why. And it's not just North America, it seems to be globally, from what I understand.
It is.
Yeah.
It has become a global sensation. And like I said, the 1950 and 1974 incidents were well before the first reported incident in the United States. So by 20 years, roughly, for the 74 to 96. And I have really fought to get an understanding on this because it fascinates me. I don't want to find one to interview it, but I would like to, I don't know, maybe I would like to interview it. But the eyes that they describe, the solid black, basically almond eyes, right? There's no color whatsoever. It's just black. And I just cannot imagine people not making a correlation between these children and ETs. I have met a child or a young woman that I believe may have been a hybrid.
Really?
Yes.
Interesting.
And it's interesting because I was talking to her mom, and I was standing next to Linda Moulton Howe, and Linda looked down at this young woman who was wheelchair bound and said, "Oh my God, you're beautiful." And the girl was like, "All shucks, ma'am, thanks," and Linda said, "No." And she looked up at the mother and said, "Is she a hybrid?" And the mom said, "She is."
Wow.
And it was like, holy cow. But her eyes were brilliant and green, right? The most brilliant green I've ever seen. But there's so many reports of, in fact, I have my Al Leon, who lives here in my room, in my office, who, has the black eyes. And so I'm just curious. I don't know why they would provoke such feelings of dread, I I don't understand that. But a lot of times people who have alien encounters express that same dread. So, are they demonic? Are they alien? Are they, some new thing? Which it would appear based on the length of time they've been around. We don't know. Because truly, that woman, and she goes by Sarah Beth, but Sarah Beth was just sitting there and opened the door. But as soon as she did and the child spoke, she knew she was in trouble, basically. Yeah. And so, because the girl moved toward the door, and when she saw her eyes, that was it.
It's like, oh, hell no.
Not just no. Exactly. You could be Southern, girl. But, I can't believe I forgot about that case being a woman who had opened the door. But that's the only one I was able to find.
Well, she opened the door, but she didn't say come in, so she didn't really give permission.
Yeah, she did not invite them in.
Yeah.
She opened the door and was looking at them.
Yeah.
So.
Good thing.
I just cannot fathom. I don't know why they just showed up. I don't know why they have eyes like that. I don't know why they are able to just appear. It's like when I was doing my study on the Men in Black, it was really funny because I thought I was reading a Nick Redfern book, and I was reading Graham Parker's book. And I was talking to Nick about that at an event, and I was like, I thought it was you. He was like, no, but that's where I started, so you're doing good.
Oh.
I was like, oh, cool, thanks. But as far as the Men in Black, they're described as being awkwardly dressed and not appearing in the least bit normal. So is there a correlation there? I don't know. But it does beg the question, right? If it walks like a duck and it quacks like a duck, maybe they're both ducks. But it's interesting.
There's definitely something off about them. This is simply speculation, of course, but the black-eyed kids, perhaps their natural form, they can't change their eye color, but they can manipulate their actual form to look like their children, and that would tell me, if that's correct, that they have studied us and know that adults would have their guard down a little more if they approached us as children. But yeah, perhaps they just are not able to change their eyes, and that's why they're still like that. Again, speculation.
Well, that's a good speculation, because we are very open to helping those that we perceive to be vulnerable. It's universal almost.
Yep.
And yeah, the fact that this woman managed to get out of that situation, and like you said, she never said come in. She just opened the door. And when apparently she was not letting them in, and the girl started to move toward the door. So that's when she stepped into the light and the woman saw her eyes. But I think that woman had a narrow escape.
No kidding.
In my personal opinion.
I believe that as well.
Because I don't think these are friendly.
No. Why would they need permission? And obviously they're looking for something. Say again, sorry?
What else needs permission to come into your space?
Yeah. I'm definitely thinking vampires. They need to have permission.
Yeah. And that's really the only thing I know of. So, see, this is such an intricate topic.
Mm-hmm.
Because, you have different things that lead you down different paths. So, it really is my favorite thing to research. And I blame David Weatherly. Darn him. He's got me
thanks a lot.
But there are so many people in the field who have researched this, who have opinions on this, and they're really not quite as varied as you would expect with that many people involved. So the fact that they're negative, the fact that they have to have permission to come in, the fact that they don't have any light in their eyes at all, And the only time that you can really affect the color of the whites of your eyes is through damage or through medication.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
If you have jaundice or something, then they'll go yellow.
Mm-hmm.
Medication will also turn them yellow. But I have never heard of the whites of our eyes being black for any natural reason. So, and I looked. I looked because I was like, well, there has to be something simple. There should be something that's, known. We have been messing with eyes for a long time now. Surely there's something. And I couldn't come up with a single thing.
It kind of
I even talked to
reminds...
my eye doctor.
Yeah. It kind of reminds me of... I used to be a huge Star Trek fan, and I don't watch much TV anymore, but all the actors, if they were aliens, you could always tell who they are, no matter how well makeup they were or what contacts they were wearing. You could always tell by the eyes. It's like, oh, he played this other creature before, and you'd go on IMDb or whatever it's called, and it's like, yeah, sure enough. But there's something about the eyes that no matter how much they change them, with contacts and whatnot, you can always recognize the eyes. And I don't know, maybe the eyes are, how do they say that? The eyes are the entrance
Window of the soul.
Window of the soul, yes, thank you. So perhaps these, I'm going to call them creatures, don't have souls. I don't know.
Well, that's a strong possibility, right?
Yeah,
because
again, speculation, but...
they don't get classified as cryptid, right?
No.
Because they have human form. But that's the only reason they don't get classified as cryptid.
I never thought of that.
And, they're unusual. There's no explanation. They show up and they're at least psychically aggressive. And they do push people into actual terror. And every cryptid just about known to man does that. So, when I started looking into cryptids, I did not know anything about most of them. So when I started, I was reading books by people that I would consider experts in that field. I know people say, oh, there's no experts. Yes, there are. There truly are experts in some paranormal fields. If I have a haunted item, I'm going to jump to Johnny. I just cannot imagine if I had an alien question, I'm going to people that I know who have researched this forever and ever. Amen.
Yes.
If I have a cryptid question, I would go to Steve Stockton or David Weatherly or Nick, or in fact I did go to Nick when I had a cryptid question. But it's really important to not lock yourself out of approaching those who have so much more experience in the research of the field that you're looking at, just because you've heard all your life that there's no experts in the paranormal. So sometimes you just have to give kudos where they're due, and just know that there just may be an expert that can help you.
There's always someone that has a little more knowledge about everything in the paranormal. I feel everybody's more knowledgeable than I am, to be honest.
I mean, I haven't been doing this very often, but, like I said, a haunted object, we had a clock that was involved in a case that we were on, and was it a clock or a mirror? This particular one was a mirror. But, I was just like, we should talk to Johnny Zaffis about this, because, seriously, he knows this. And then I found a local paranormal item collector, and so he's my go-to, because Johnny Zaffis is a busy man. And, so Kevin Kane has one of the biggest haunted item collections of anyone I know personally that's in this region. And, you can find people that know a lot about you, or about your topic. And let me tell you, I am not bashful about seeking help with with things that I don't understand.
I'm the same way. I have no qualms asking questions, whether it's about paranormal, if I'm at a job, whatever. If I have a question, I'm going to seek someone who I feel has knowledge on that and ask, hey, you know, I'm not shy at all when it comes to asking questions.
Yeah, I mean, because we didn't come into this world knowing everything.
Exactly, yeah.
As much as some of us would like to wish that we had. And some people are convinced they did, right? I mean,
Right.
that just goes with it.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's just really interesting. It's also interesting that they always seem to feel compelled to tell you that they're not there to hurt you.
Yeah. And like that one incident you said that if we wanted to come in and if we wanted to hurt you, we would have broken in. Well, obviously not, because you've asked again, can we come in? You know,
Yes.
indicating you need permission. So,
Yes.
yeah.
In fact, that's how she phrased it. You know, after she said if we wanted to do that, we would have broken again. I'll ask again.
Yeah.
May we come in and use your phone?
Mm-hmm.
So, obviously, she couldn't come in. And thank God for that, right?
Yeah.
So,
But when you have that much, when you're sensing that much negativity and fear, you're not necessarily going to pay attention to the wording used. You're not going to be logical about what this child just said. You know, well, I could have broken in, but can I come in? Type thing. You know, you might not know to really pay attention to the words, but your gut feeling always knows.
yes, it does. And, you know, something that I found interesting is that when I was first starting to research this stuff, I found articles listed under science and technology
Really?
relevant to the black-eyed children. And I'm just like, why on earth would that be listed under technology? Right?
Yeah.
That's totally illogical. But yet, there it was, a couple of times, different articles, and I was like, okay, this is just bizarre. And I think it's very bizarre.
That intrigues me even more now.
Right? And every time I find something, it's like a trail, a crumb trail,
Mm-hmm.
because you just keep getting drawn in. It's like, well, okay, well, let me see this. And it's just unbelievable. It just really is, because I had no idea. And there are podcast after podcast after podcast that I go and I listen to, and I am just looking for somebody to say, well, this is what happened.
Mm-hmm.
This is what happened. And I never get like a detailed explanation, a detailed idea. But, you know, I hear them called the evil spawn child. You know, I hear them called aliens. I hear it's just all kinds of things. And that blows my mind, because it's always negative.
Yep.
There's never anything that is like pro black-eyed kids, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing at all. But the stories are legion. So
Have you
I
ever
just-
been able to find out, you said the first case that you knew of happened in around the 1950s. Do you know of any event that would have happened then, whether it's a different type of solar flare or whatever that might have happened, and all of a sudden these kids started showing up?
that's interesting. That would be like a portal, or
Mhm.
like a time wormhole kind of a thing.
Mhm.
I have not even looked at that, to be quite honest. That's brilliant, though.
Might
I
be
will.
something worth looking into, yeah.
Well, because I just really think there's got to be something. these did not just appear out of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
Although, the 70s thing would have been like, what was that show? Dark Shadows.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe they were Barnabas Collins' children.
Yep.
I don't know. I mean, but seriously, there has to be an impetus,
Mm-hmm.
something that brought this into fruition. And that's a great suggestion. I'm going to take it and run with it if you don't mind.
I don't mind at all. It's like we're brainstorming.
We are.
Yeah.
I like that.
Because I know some people have said that with the Mandela effect, some people are convinced that it was CERN that started all of this. And CERN has been experimenting. I can't remember when they said that it started. Cheapers. It started earlier than what people actually think. And so I'm just wondering if something like that on Earth, somebody on Earth doing an experiment, or if, like I said, if there was an unusual solar flare or lunar eclipse or something unusual happened.
I think that there's a lot that goes on with CERN that we're not familiar with, that we're not aware of. And I would not be absolutely shocked to find something correlates there.
I agree.
But I also am fairly positive that there is at least one, I think 3 super colliders on Earth. So
I had heard there was one in North America, like in the United States, but I don't remember where.
I think there's 2 in our hemisphere.
Mm-hmm.
So, because you don't. What is that line from Contact? Why build one when you can build 2?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, yeah. And I remember reading a few years ago, and I can't find that article anymore, and I know I read it. I'm not totally crazy. CERN had said they wanted to see if they could open other portals to different dimensions.
Yes.
And I'm just like, okay, you remember reading that article too, or at least hearing about it?
Yes, I do.
Oh, good. Because I haven't been able to find it.
Well, I would imagine it got pulled down because, that's a little bit too much information.
Yeah.
But I do know that they were seeking to create dark matter.
Yep.
And dark matter is everything that's not an astral body in the universe.
Mm-hmm.
So, besides the things that live on the astral bodies, but it's what holds all of the astral phenomenon together.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was reading that the first time I ever saw it, I was like, oh my God. So if we're going to create dark matter, then that begs to ask, what is it going to be gluing together in those tunnels? I mean,
Yeah.
Oh dear, what is going to happen? And I do think that there's something to be said for not messing with something that you're not quite sure of.
Yes.
But then again, I'm an inquisitive sort. So
You're a cat.
I'm fine with them doing it if somebody will just show it to me and tell me what it does.
Mm-hmm.
I love that stuff. But I am, in fact, when they did, I'm trying to recall the time frame, when CERN was doing the testing to do that, and then they got the Higgs boson, would that not feed with the dark matter? It's a creation particle, right?
Mm-hmm. Also known as,
right?
I think they also refer to it as the God particle? Or am I?
God particle.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So, and they believe that they made a Higgs boson.
Mm-hmm.
They say that they found it, but it wasn't really lost. Right? It was not something that they were looking for. They're doing the collisions in order to find how to create. And I would so love to have a full comprehensive education to be able to understand all of the things that they're trying to accomplish there. It's so fascinating.
Yeah, all this science stuff really fascinates me, but it's beyond my intelligence. But I have that fascination, that thirst for knowledge to find out more, but I just can't grasp a lot of it.
Well, it's not beyond your intelligence, it's beyond your experience.
Oh, I never thought of it that way.
So as you go in and you're looking with a very real curiosity, then you're going to be able to comprehend more and more as you learn the little pieces, right?
You're brilliant.
And when I get in trouble with stuff, I will phone a friend. Because since I've been doing some of this research, I have made friends with people that fortunately don't tell me to go and, jump in a lake when I call them with a question, because the best person that I ever spoke with who taught me that it's okay to ask what I would perceive as silly questions, because there's really not one if you're genuine in your quest for knowledge, was Stanton Friedman, who was a nuclear physicist.
Oh, I didn't know that part. Huh.
Yep. And when we were talking about space flights, and he was very involved in the hydrogen bomb project, the atomic bomb projects. He was brilliant. He was a great ufologist. He was a great human, and he was from not far from you. But he was, if I was having trouble grasping something, he would say, just throw money at it. Just think of it that way. Just throw money at it. We can accomplish anything if we just throw money at it. That's how we got the bombs. That's how we got to the moon. That's how we got the propulsion systems. And trust me, they didn't stop. They did not stop their research. And he was a great friend and a great educator. And he didn't mind me being ignorant on a lot of topics that he was not. He just educated me.
Nice.
So, yeah, I miss that guy. He was something else. But I'm going to tell you this. This is so funny. The very first time I had messaged him and asked if he could get in touch with me, that I would like to schedule a show with them. So he called me, and I was in my office doing something. I couldn't find my phone. I had my iWatch on, so I answered my watch thinking it was my kids. It was Stan Friedman.
Oh,
and
wow.
I was like, oh, I'll have to call you right back. I am Dick Tracy and you. I have to go get my phone. And he was like, you're what? I said, I'm Dick Tracy and you. I'm talking on my watch. I have to go get my phone. I'm so sorry. Give me 2 minutes. And when I called him back, he said, what is this Dick Tracying? I said, my iWatch will answer my phone. So that's what I was doing. He was like, that's phenomenal. I said, it's not bad. So that's how we actually had our first conversation, and he didn't run screaming for the door. So it was funny.
I love that. I just looked it up, and he's from my home province of New Brunswick.
Yes.
Huh. From Fredericton, New Brunswick.
Pretty cool, right?
That is very cool. Wow, I didn't know that. You've blown me away.
He was thebomb.com. Just one of the nicest people I've ever spoken with.
I've heard that from other people as well.
Yeah. And like I said, he didn't get frustrated when I didn't comprehend what he was trying to explain. He would just explain it again.
Well, he probably saw the curiosity in you, and you generally wanted to know, so that's probably why.
I think so. And when I finally got to meet him, it was just like we had talked to each other forever, and, we were friends. And when he first got to the conference, the airline had lost his baggage, his merchandise bag. So he didn't have any books. And he was very frustrated, so he got that taken care of, and I went to see him at his table after a lecture the next morning, and there were no books. I said, did they not find your suitcase? He was like, no, I sold all the books. Now we can sit down and talk.
Nice. Wow.
And I said, all right, let's do that. Congratulations on selling the books.
Yeah.
So, and I got to interview him the last time right before he passed away. And it was really poignant because he was talking about his parents' longevity, and he's like, yeah, so, they live to be this age. I figure I've got about 6 good years left. And the following, after that weekend, my friend Chase messaged me and let me know that he had passed away in an airport coming home from a conference.
Oh.
And I was like, darn it.
Mm-hmm.
I had so many more things to talk to him about. And I'll get to eventually. It'll be a while, probably.
Let's hope.
Hopefully. But you can never assume, right? So he taught me that lesson too. Never assume. Always say what you want to say and make sure you leave people knowing what you want them to know.
Sounds like something my father would say. Say what you mean, don't mean what you say.
Always.
Yeah.
Much better than not.
Yes, I don't like it when people are beat around the bush, cryptic about what they're trying to say, and I'm just like, just come out and say it.
Yeah. I mean, because, it's not the end of the world if it comes out wrong. You just restate.
Yeah, exactly.
So
you're so fortunate to have met him and picked his brain a little bit.
I am very fortunate to have met him. He is one of those people that you just would never forget. So it's what is it my grandma used to say? They broke the mold when they made him.
Yeah. Yeah. My grandfather used to say that. Yeah.
Because he's very special. He's a very special person.
I think he passed, 2019? 18?
I think 19.
19?
I would have to look because I'm terrible on time.
Yeah.
I'm one of those people that someone will say, well, what did you blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, I don't really know. So
my mother used to say the other day, and I'm like, Mom, that was 5 years ago. No, it wasn't.
Funny.
Yeah, it was.
I do that. And my daughter will also correct me. So, and that's okay.
That's
my daughter
funny.
corrects me on things all the time. And I'm just like, the things that really matter, I don't forget.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, I'm going to have to start doing a little bit.
May 21st, 2019.
Oh, was it May? Wow. I'm going to have to start doing some research on the black-eyed kids now, and especially when I mentioned about solar flares and things like that. If you find anything, please let me know.
Well, I will. We can just share our information as we go if you want.
Yeah,
and
that would be nice.
Maybe we'll find something to collaborate on with that.
Yeah.
That would be fun.
Might write a book someday. Never
You
know.
never know. Never say never.
That's true, yes.
Although it's taken me so long to write mine that it's just like crazy. I'll think I have it done, and then I'll think, oh, well, but then this happened. And, I've got to put that in there. It's really crazy.
Yeah. How long
I
has
had
it
it
been?
finished. I started again. I had it finished, and I'm revamping.
Oh, that's funny.
Well, I keep going through my evidence, and I'll find more stuff. So
Definitely have to let me know when it's done and published.
I will. I don't think it's going to be a whole lot longer, though. So that's a good thing.
Okay, good.
I'm excited about it. Now, if other people will be excited about it, it'll be perfect.
If you wrote it, I'm sure people will.
Oh, you are too sweet. I like that about you.
Oh, thank you. Wow,
Just
we both have great names.
We do. And when I told my husband, I said, yeah, Kat Ward is going to be interviewing me. And he was like, what? I said, yeah, she's another cat.
Yeah.
Like, oh, Lord. There's two.
I am 54 now. I'm not ashamed to say my age. And I've been called Kat since I think it was grade 3. So it's been a while.
Right? Well, I will be 60.
Are you kidding me?
November 7th.
Wow.
So, right? And I earned every one of those days. I don't mind talking about that either.
I thought you were younger than I am.
No. I am a little old Southern lady. That means I can get away with murder down here.
I love a Southern accent. Seriously. I have so many friends in the paranormal community. I love listening to, I don't know if you're familiar with Dixie Cryptid, Cam Buckner. Love that guy. Not so much lately, but we used to text each other just so often, and did little video chats, met his wife and everything, and she's like, when are you coming down for a visit? I love the accents. It's just, it's warming. I don't know, there's just something about it.
Well, there is, but you know what's really bad is that we have such a reputation.
Mm-hmm.
I was on the air with somebody, and they had just a a really bad event happened in their family. And I was like, oh no, bless your heart. He's like, I know what that means. I'm like, no, really, that's what it means, is bless your heart.
Yeah, what else would it mean?
Your family's going through this. And he was like, no, that's Southern. I'm like, well, it is Southern, but it's all about inflection.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it could mean something else, but no, it doesn't right now.
Yes. We actually say that too up here in Canada.
Well, there you go. But yes, that person was very offended that I said that. And I was just like, well, you probably shouldn't be, but you should be if I say it again after that reaction.
You're right. And you better run, son.
No doubt. But it was funny because he was just like, why are you being ugly? Not being ugly, I promise. It's not if I'm being ugly, you won't know it till next week. So we camouflage.
Well, thank you so very much, Kat, for helping me to celebrate my 4th anniversary of Paranormal Heart. I really appreciate you being on.
Well, I was thrilled when you invited me because I like you. I like your work.
Thank you.
I think that you're one of the more... There's a lot of really good podcasts out there.
There are.
And I think that yours rates very highly.
Thank you.
So
I appreciate that.
Well, call him as I see him.
Yeah.
And, it is what it is, and you do a good job.
Thank you. And I have so much respect for you as well. Like, you, very knowledgeable in the paranormal, and like I told you, you just seem like such a sweetheart.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. Before we sign off, would you like to tell the listeners where they can find you? And I will also add links to the show notes so it's easier for them to find.
Oh, thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Yes, I host Fate Magazine Radio on Sunday nights. And I also host Paranormal Experienced with Kat Hobson on Wednesday nights on WBHM-DB.com. You can also find Fate at fatemag.com. And you can find us on Spreaker if you forget those. So feel free to. But we do broadcast through Spreaker. So we have chat where you can come and get your questions answered. And I try to be diverse.
Mm-hmm.
So I just love what I do. And I get to talk to some, and I know you know this too. It's a blessing to do this because I've done it. In November will be my 7th year with Paranormal Experienced.
November as well. That's funny.
I know, right? Well, we were close.
Yeah.
But it's really a big deal because you and I met through Jim when I was having to start my network. I was having to start my own production because I had a producer disappear. And that's why, because I am 3.5 years into Fate Magazine Radio. And I'm so fortunate because the community of podcasters that we're so fortunate to be part of is a really great group of people.
I agree.
And, I will always appreciate Jim Mallard for kind of taking me under his wing and showing me some of the things that needed to happen in order to be able to produce multiple shows.
Mm-hmm.
So, thanks to him. But
he's a great guy.
He's amazing. But I do always appreciate him. And he got mad one time, or he didn't get mad. He was upset because I had said, because it took him a while because I was trying to figure it out for myself, and he knew I was trying to figure it out for myself. And he knew that it would stick if I did. And so he kind of watched from afar, and I got a message from him one day that said, would you like some help? And I'm like, well, yeah. Why took so long? But he felt like when I said it, that I made it sound like he didn't, like he just kind of left me floundering. He did not. I got this. Oh, I don't got this.
Yeah.
But But he was my friend, and he allowed me to make the mistakes that would stick it in my memory. He didn't rush in to save me. He gave me the opportunity to learn.
Yep.
So he really is a pretty good mentor.
That he is.
I'm gonna just put that out there. I know that you know that too, but not everybody does. But he's a wonderful person.
He sure is. I started out as a listener, a fan, then we became friends, and then he helped me out with the podcast. He still helps me out. I'll have questions every once in a while. So, yeah, very fortunate.
Well, he is a good person, and I'm fortunate to know him and to know you and the group of people that, we kind of all were doing this at the same time with the learning.
Nice to have that support network.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. Because somebody has something to bring to the table.
Well, it's a bunch of people that were bringing their styles and personalities to the table.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
And I think that was just such a blessing.
For sure.
Learning together is a good thing.
Yes. Well, thanks again, Kat.
Thank you. Thank you for having me because, it's been really fun.
Yeah. Like I said in the beginning, it was a difficult time because I think we've been trying to do this for, 2 years?
We have.
But we finally made it. Yeah. Thanks again.
Feels like we should burst into song or something, but people will pay me not to do that because of money.
Well, we could sing that song that I told you about earlier, My Black Eyed Kids.
I think that is such a hoot that you were so locked into that. That's awesome.
I always change words to songs and sing. I'm not very good at it, but I like to do it. But I like to be silly.
I am a terrible singer, but I have a good time.
Yeah. Okay.
I just make other people's ears bleed. It's okay.
You take care, Kat. Be safe out there.
You too.
Thank you.
Well, we've made it to the end of another episode. Thanks so much for listening. Until next time, take care of each other. And if you'd like to be on the show or have questions and comments, just drop me an email, paranormalheart13@gmail.com. I'd love to hear from you.
Paranormal Heart would like to extend a special thank you to PurplePlanet.com for supplying the music for the show. The views and opinions expressed on Paranormal Heart are those of the host and participants.